Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragon Gate is, how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragon Gate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.
Hello there, my name's Neil David, and I'm the host of Eurograps Express, the podcast exclusively dedicated to the wrestling of Europe. If it's wrestling and it happens in Europe and it's good, we talk about it. Whether it's RevPro, Progress, WXW, Passion Pro, Pro Wrestling Chaos, Pro Wrestling North, we don't care, we talk about them all. If it's good and it's exciting, I want to share it with you. We're on the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. Check us out on the feed. Check us out on Twitter at EuroGrapsEXP. And join us for chat about European wrestling and a little bit of chat about cheese. Hopefully see you there.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Super J-Cast. I'm Joel, joined by Damon McDonald. It is Sunday the 19th of March 2023. This is episode 251. Yet again, our recording of the show has synchronised perfectly with the kickoff of the weekend's Arsenal game. So again, listeners, I apologise if I start shouting or swearing. That's because I'm in the middle of watching Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. Jesus fuck. Great start to the show. Damon, how's it going?
Was there a goal? Oh no. All right.
No, so a Palace player just took a shot and it hit the post and then it bounced back off the post and hit our goalie in the back of the head and
Jesus.
Nearly went in. So
nearly went in, but it did not go
shit
in.
Just came out.
Okay, but it did not go in.
Still 0-0.
Okay, good.
No.
Okay. Hi everyone. Welcome to the award-winning Super J-Cast. Another beautiful sunny day, and we are excited about the New Japan Cup and all the news that's fit to print here on the Super J-Cast.
So, obviously, the hot topic of the week is the New Japan Cup, but there's also a bit of exciting news that's hit the feeds this week. Not least of all was the fact that Forbidden Door has been announced. Forbidden Door 2, or they're just calling it Forbidden Door, which will be in Canada.
Yes.
June 25th in the Scotiabank Arena.
That is correct.
So, very exciting. I mean, there's a lot of speculation about what could be headlining there. A lot of whispers, Damon, about Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega 2. Ospreay was asked about his preferred opponent at Forbidden Door, and he says, and I quote, we all know, I have to regain my pride. So, yeah, your thoughts on the announcement of the show and what you expect to see on it?
Well, I mean, we knew it was coming. We just didn't know where. But come to find out, Scotiabank Arena, Toronto, home of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Which is, unfortunately, a scheduling conflict for me because I'm going to go see The Cure that night. So I'm like, oh, fuck me. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I think we're going to The Cure. I mean, look, it was the best show of the year last year, even with all the hiccups and all the injuries and all the drama. But yet still, they found a way to make it show of the year. I'm excited. It's going to be a great show. It's going to be a great night. I think it'll be a super hot, red hot crowd. It's a big building. But I think they'll do fine. And I think they should. I really think they should. I think they should announce them. If that's going to be the main event, they should announce that to help with ticket sales. Again, people are assuming a lot of things, but let's get that down on paper so that people can plan accordingly and get tickets and all that stuff. And I think it'll help draw a very sizable house in a rather large basketball/hockey arena.
Next bit of news was Capital Collision. So we have the first matches announced for Washington, D.C. So this is in D.C.'s Sports and Entertainment Arena on April 15th. So we've got 3 matches announced. We've got Fred Rosser versus Juice Robinson in a singles match. We've got a crazy-looking 10-man tag match. So we've got Ishii, Clark Connors, DKC, Leo Rush, and Rocky Romero against Volador Jr., Mike Bailey, Gabe Kidd, Kevin Knight, and Kushida. We've also got Shane Haste and Badu Tito against the West Coast Wrecking Crew. So, I'm into those. I think those are pretty tasty sounding undercard matches. Multiverse says the first set of matches for Capital Collision looks like a lineup you would see on Strong. How can New Japan create cards to get fans to consistently pay for these shows? Look, right. More matches are coming, right? This is not it. There's going to be bigger matches than this. Wouldn't even be shocked if there's another IWGP World title match on there. So I would say hold your horses for this one because I'm sure more's coming. All
right, I'm holding my horses. Horses are held. But I will say that I did see that lineup, and not lineup in a whole, but the 3 matches. I don't know. I don't know if I would be making the drive all the way down for the 3 they've announced so far. But so I will hold my horses. I will take your advice. Horses are held. And we'll see. But yeah, right now, I don't know. I don't know if I'm driving down there. We'll see. Plus, I got to find a new I got to find a new media credential person. Apparently. So yeah. All right. We got to figure that out. So far, so good.
We also have Best Super Junior 30 dates announced. So this is going to be running on a shorter schedule this year, May 12th to May 28th. So it's a very intense schedule. So that's 12 events over 16 days, which, I don't know, that sounds like a lot to me. I mean, not just for me, the viewer, to consume, but for the wrestlers as well. I mean, is that just me, or is that, I looked at that, I was like, whoa, that's...
Yeah. I mean, not much time for rest and recovery, right? Do you think it's going to be a shortened pool of wrestlers that will be involved? Because I was under the assumption that it would be at least as many as we thought would be, and then maybe even more, quite honestly, now that, we can travel back and forth freely. Yeah, it does seem like a fucking, as I like to say, 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. That's a lot. That's a lot in there. That's G1 level.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the schedule here. So we've got May 12th, May 13th, 14th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 21st, 23rd, 24th, 26th, 28th. Whew. Not many days off there. I mean, it's impossible to try and unpick that and figure out, block situations and how many people per block based on that, because, of course, they can and almost certainly will be doing double block nights. But was it 20 people last year? I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be 20 again this year for all the reasons you've laid out. I mean, I got my thoughts on who I don't think will be called back from last year and guys that I think will be called this year. But yeah, I would say 10 and 10 would make sense.
It would. I'll tell you what, though, it'll make for very interesting shows. That's for sure. Right? You're not going to get much sizzle, or what am I trying to say? Like there's going to be good shit every fucking night is what I'm trying to say. It's going to be good stuff. Yeah, you're not going to have to wait long for great matches on each and every show. So I like, 10 each side. Yep. I'm on board with that. But yeah, those guys over there, whoo, it's going to be tough sledding. Not much time for recovery, which also kind of has me thinking like a lot of these matches are going to be easily digestible. right? I can't, with that kind of schedule, you're not doing 25 minutes, right? You're not doing 30 minutes. These are going to be quick sprints, which again might make it even more exciting than it normally is.
Some of my favorite shows always end up being those ones where they have the double block shows, where you get some upsets, you get some matches that finish in like 4 minutes, you get a little bit of everything. They really mix it up. So I hope we get a lot of those because they always make for very entertaining viewing. Because it's very easy when you have the single block nights to kind of hand wave skip the undercard tag matches, which is fine. That's all part and parcel of it, but I always find those double block nights to be a bit special. There's always a bit of buzz for those. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, these are the guys that we always, when there's a big show or there's, we always want the junior tags or go on first, set the pace for the show, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, you're going to get that. you got the guys that, we kind of point out to say, okay, have these guys in there first to get the crowd rocking and rolling. So, yep, that's exactly what we're going to get for an entire show. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be really good. And I think this year it'll be fresh. I think there'll be new faces. And I think a lot of the stuff that maybe you would normally hand wave with guys in, I don't know if that's going to be the case. I think this is going to be really solid, actually.
Any early thoughts on the winner? So I've got a question here from David. He says, who would you like to see win Best of the Super Juniors? Feels like it's time to elevate someone else. As much as I want it to be Dorky, Robbie Eagles would be the best call for me. I've said before, I think Master Watto is the play this year, just based on the booking and the way he performed at Wrestle Kingdom. But I love the idea of Robbie Eagles. I mean, imagine something like a Robbie Eagles Leo Rush final. I mean, that would be spectacular. But I think Master Watto is going to be the guy this year.
Yeah, if you look at it, I mean, take your pick of what month you want to look at. Master Watto has been a focus, right? And you can't shy away from that. He's the guy that it seems as though they're looking to do a little something more with. I wouldn't be surprised. How about a guy like? Well, no, I was going to say Yo, but he's already been in the mix. Yeah, I would have no problem with Robbie Eagles winning it, actually. I really wouldn't. That would be spectacular, actually. And you're right. That final, would be outstanding. You figure Leo Rush is in there, right? You would think TJP, Kira. I'm trying to think who else out loud. Obviously, El Desperado.
Would love to see Kevin Knight this year. Kevin Knight should be in there. Maybe Kushida. He might be involved this year.
I would think so, right? You know what? It wouldn't be strange if he won it. I would not be shocked if he won it. I mean, I think here's the thing, though. You have 3 candidates right now that would at the very least, would be pretty fucking interesting. If you slid Robbie in that spot, again, you're getting greatness. You slip in Kevin Knight in there. That would be pretty good. That'd be good. I don't think you, and even Master Watto, it would be different. And that if in a tight spot, people are going to get behind him. You know what I mean? Like people are going to, I don't know, maybe it might be like sarcastically at first, or, the irony police will be out. But that if that's the case and he goes deep, people are going to fucking get behind him. And maybe that's exactly what we need. It'd be big wins. Yeah. Here's the thing. Again, it's going to be interesting. And if New Japan Cup is any indicator of what they're planning on for the rest of this year, Like they're the new generation, new younger talent is really being shown in the brightest light possible. I would not be surprised if Best of the Super Juniors follows the same suit. Would not be surprised.
Speaking of Robbie Eagles, no username says... Oh, no, wait, I'm reading the wrong question. Down Bad Patrol says, thoughts on Eagles potentially joining United Empire? I personally feel like United Empire already have the max amount of members you can have without getting too crowded. TMDK, on the other hand, are very short on members and need a junior. So the genesis of this being a show in Australia that was, I saw a tweet reported live, I think, from our good friend of the show and one of my favourite Twitter follows, Josh from the We Work Stiff podcast, where Robbie Eagles had a match with TJP and lost, and then TJP offered Robbie the United Empire armband after that, and Eagles picked it up and seemed to be considering it. Now, I do agree with Down Bad Patrol that I think there's way too many people in United Empire as it is. I think TMDK could do with a junior heavyweight wrestler, so I think that would be a better fit. But either way, I can definitely feel something brewing with Robbie Eagles and his dissatisfaction and chaos. And he's talked about Leo Rush just sort of announcing himself as his next junior heavyweight title challenger without necessarily going through whatever the correct channels are in the Chaos group chat. But something's a brewing there, and I'm excited by the possibility of seeing Robbie Eagles with a fire lit under him with a bit of attitude coming in to stake his place, because I think a lot of people have just forgotten about him, which is deeply unfair because he fucking rules. Yeah,
1,000%. I mean, come on. Since he's won the IWGP Junior, I mean, he's had the little tag situation with Tiger Mask, which was fine, but I wouldn't say that was a bright light. Yes, we need to get him back into the mix, like the true mix. And what better way than to join the faction as we've seen last week. Factions are where it's at again. Factions are cool now. And yeah, Robbie Eagles needs to be in the mix. You know what? Here's the thing. I would rather him right now. Well, you know what? I'm going to take that back. I'm going to take that back. I was going to say I'd rather have him right now in United Empire only because they seem to be a dominant faction. But I wouldn't want him to be a big fish, or excuse me, a small fish in a big pond. Is that what I'm trying to say? And I don't know. You're right. There are a ton of people in United Empire. Yeah. But I don't know. You could go either one. It would be fine. I just want to get him back in the mix. I just want to see him back being a big time contributor, because he can and he should. What are we waiting for here? What the fuck? Doesn't seem like we're waiting much longer, though. Doesn't seem like we're waiting much longer. Seems like something's going to happen. But yep, I'm digging it. Love it.
And speaking of loving it, Arsenal have taken the lead against Crystal Palace with a fine goal from Gabby Martinelli. So happy days over here.
Here we go.
All right, let's move on then to talk about the New Japan Cup. So just a little word on stuff that's been going on the undercards. I have enjoyed Zack Sabre Jr. teaching different moves, different finishing moves to Kosei Fujita. Like, he taught him the O'Connor Bridge. So there was one night he tried it and it didn't work and he ended up losing. But then he adjusted it slightly the next day and actually got the win with it. So I like this sort of running story they're telling it with Zach, teaching him moves. And at first they're not working and then he's learning from his defeats. And if you follow the backstage stuff, they've been discussing all that. So that's been a lot of fun to watch. I'm enjoying Fujita's growth there and his learning experience. There was a bit of fun with Taguchi cosplaying Great Khan. A lot of silliness going on in that match. Jeff Cobb has been threatening to show up on Dynamite to come for Kenny Omega's IWGP US title. Remember that? Remember that title, Damon?
No.
As I mentioned last week, of course, they're also doing a lot of work setting up Suzuki versus Kenta for the Strong title. Again, not sure where that's going to be taking place, but that's definitely happening. Looks like Shota against Zack is going to be the TV title program. Shingo and Hanare for the KOPW program. Bishamon versus Aussie Open for the tag title program. And Strong Style versus House of Torture again for the six-man program. So setting up a lot of stuff to come in the not too distant future.
And again, we're really relying on the pinnacle of New Japan Pro Wrestling in this modern era was with guys that were in their 30s, and now here we are, many moons later. These guys are older. I hate to break everyone's heart, but Tomohiro Ishii, if I'm not mistaken, is like 50, right? There's got to be a changing of the guard. There's got to be fresh faces. They've got to make new stars, and they are. And that's fun to me. Like, to me, that's people complain about, Okada again. Oh my God. He's in his fucking early 30s, if that, right? You're going to see a lot more of him. I guarantee it. But also, they complain when it's time to make new stars, and there's always that pushback. And it's like, man, it's time. It's time. And I think it's the scariest thing for a pro wrestling promotion, but is also great when they recognize that they need to do that. And there are plenty of promotions that don't and haven't through the history of pro wrestling, where it's the same fucking guys who are like 60 still at the top of the show. You can't do that. You can't survive that way. You can't. So I appreciate the fact that New Japan has the balls to recognize it, number one. And number two, to implement it is a completely other thing too. So yeah, I mean, it's time. It is time. And you can see that in everything that you mentioned, Joel. Everything that you mentioned. Look at who's, again, it's March, but don't be surprised come January, where, a lot of the people that are in these positions now are going to be pretty high up on a card. I would expect.
I was going to say this for later, actually, but as soon as you brought it up, a couple of questions I would like to deal with now. So Method95 says, given New Japan's current reluctance to bring many foreigners over, are there any native freelancers that they should bring in to bolster or freshen up the roster? Maybe borrow someone from Glades, perhaps. After watching the majority of this New Japan Cup, I don't think they need to anymore. No. I am really infused by how fresh everything's looking. And I will sort of pop in with another question here. This is from... fucking lost it now. Steel O'Neill, who says, Sanada, Finley, Tamatonga, all in the semi-finals. Yikes. Now, I'm not putting Steel O'Neill on blast because it's certainly not the only person to have this opinion. Of course, lots of different opinions are available, but this is kind of emblematic of a lot of the discourse with New Japan. And, Steel O'Neill, I'm assuming, he often writes into us, love the questions they get, and I'm assuming this is someone who follows the product, but this kind of opinion confuses me, especially for people who do watch it regularly, because like you said, Damon, you can't have it both ways. You can't criticize a product for being stale and say, it's always Okada and Jay White and Ibushi and Naito and Tanahashi. It's the same old guys, the same old programs. There's nothing interesting going on. But then when they try to elevate new people saying, what are they doing with these guys? I can't believe they're pushing this guy. You can't have it both ways. And for people like us who watch week in, week out, some of the guys that have been mentioned there, none of these have come out of the blue. I mean, these are all people that make complete sense to push. These are guys that we've been praising for their mid-card work over the last 18 to 24 months. It's not like they've just sort of randomly decided, Honma's going to be a main eventer now, or, we're going to start pushing Yoshihashi or something. These are guys who have got that slow build, have been very carefully selected to have these big matches, whether it's in tournaments, whether it's in G1s or Road 2 shows, just to test the waters. And guys who I think have all passed those tests with flying colours, and now it makes absolute sense to me to elevate. And, one of the things that people always praise New Japan for is their ability to restock that bench. You know, when it was AJ and Nakamura that left, then they shifted things slightly, and then it was Kenny Omega and Naito who got lifted up to those next spots, and then when Kenny Omega left, then it was Jay White that was brought forward. So I think one of the strengths of the company has always been that ability to have guys heated up on the undercard and the mid card, so they're ready to take that spot when opportunities open up. So I don't know, I'm very much of the opinion, I like the guys that have been pushed in this tournament, and I think it's quite an exciting time to be a fan, because it felt a bit static and stale over the past couple of years, but that is absolutely not something you could accuse the company of now. And I'm a big fan of the people who've been selected to receive these pushes.
Me too. And the weird thing about it is, to me, Joel, is that these are, if you're into this product, this is something that shouldn't be a shock to people. I mean, just something as basic as the dojo system, right? Yes, they're young lions. They're going to be eating pins. They're going to be. And then they learn and they get a little bit better, and then they start getting, tag wins maybe. And, then it's excursion time, and they come back with a fresh coat of paint. Yes. I mean, that's what they do. And I think that people have grown accustomed to people being the young lion and not taking that next step. I just think, listen, and I'm not gatekeeping here by any stretch of the imagination, but there are a ton of fans that got into New Japan at that peak. So, I mean, that's they don't remember Tanahashi coming up as a young lion. They don't remember Naito coming up as a young lion. They don't remember, Hercules Hernandez having a fucking run at the IWGP Tag Champ. Just shit that people complain about. It's like they've done this forever, and this is just kind of what they do. Now, you can argue I don't think David Finlay, as an example, I don't think David Finlay necessarily can handle the main event spotlight, blah, 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 blah. And I would have to say, based off of what? Right? Well, he's getting an opportunity now to do it. Let's see if he can do it. And history.
Yeah, like anyone who's been watching over the last 18 months, every time David Finney's been put in a big spot, he's absolutely delivered. Right. There have not been any matches where he's been put in the main event for these US title matches, or the great G1 run he had, or the New Japan Cup run he had the year before that, and thinking, he really shat the bed there. He's been great each and every time, so I don't understand why people are suddenly criticizing the fact that he's been elevated, because he deserves it. We'll talk about David Finlay later, but it's not just him. It's just this whole thing. And again, I think it's people, and again, I'm not having to go at Steel O'Neill because I'm sure they follow the product, but I generally see it from people who are not following it, who just sort of see results and think, what? This guy's being pushed. Oh my God, New Japan in the mud.
Right.
Where, that's not the case.
No. It reminds me of, I don't know if you know the story of Hogan being brought back for those Fukuoka Dome shows, and he realized that Muda was on top of these shows, and he went into a panic thinking, oh my God, the young lion is they don't have any star. Just the opposite, Hulkster. Right? I mean, he's not only the top guy in the company, but he's also maybe one of the biggest draws in wrestling. So yeah, I mean, it
still is.
And yes, and a Hall of Famer. So yes, it is, people's perceptions. I think people get locked in a certain time frame, and they get locked into a certain perception, and it's hard for people to kind of shake that loose. But I can't think of any other sport where they do that. I'm sure you have a developmental system at Arsenal, right? And you're not complaining when a guy who's pretty good down in, as they say, down on the farm, comes up to the big leagues and takes a spot of a guy who might be older. Might be time to think about refreshing the lineup a little bit.
It's this culture we live in where, everyone's got to have the early hot take, that take has to be static and correct until the end of time. And that's a ridiculous way to go about things. We have incomplete evidence and we change our opinions based on the evidence that we see. And I don't think there's any value at all in being like, well, I thought this guy's trash. He's always been trash, and and not being able to shift from that. You have to assess the new evidence as it comes in, and people can change.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a good thing, especially in pro wrestling, right? If we didn't, listen, I'm sure that there were people in Japan when it was, Inoki, Fujinami, Choshu, all those guys were at the top, and then you had the young guys. Your Mutos, your Hashimotos, your Chonos, kind of, Liger, Yamada, all those guys that were kind of, getting their feet wet in the dojo, and all these guys, they'll never be on top. Well, guess what? They had it, and they did, and they did, and they did very, very well for themselves. And I will also say this too. I know the importance of a younger demographic enjoying your product. And there is something to be said about a generation having their own people they can cling on to, right? Like, again, you can do the analogy in music, right? There was a time when, it was cutting edge and new. Oh, you listen to The Cure? Oh, you listen to Joy Division? Oh, you listen to this? Oh, well, you're so edgy. Okay. Well, guess what? Now that's passé, right? The kids today don't have a clue who the fuck half these bands are. And that's fine because they listen to what their generation listens to and their heroes are. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's a very tough thing for pro wrestling fans in general to kind of get on board with that. It's a very difficult thing, and I've said it a million times. It's much easier to just debut someone as a star than it is to have a person homegrown, build them up, and do it the right way. And everybody agrees the dojo system is the right way. I mean, minus like the hazing and shit like that. But, that's the way you kind of want things to go. And, well, okay, eventually they're going to take that next step. Here it is. And that is a fun. I think the best part about it is the unknown. I don't know if David Finley's going to be a better leader of Bullet Club than Jay White or Omega or AJ or, I don't know. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, we don't have to decide now.
Right. Exactly. Perfect. That is it. We don't have to decide now. And that's for an RA. That's for Aussie Open. That's for whom, a lot of these guys have a very long list of they reached a pinnacle and then they're going higher and then they're going higher. Absolutely. Yet we don't have to do that now. But now's the time to get excited for that change. Love it. Perfect. Well done, Joel. Well done.
Yeah, it can be very alluring to listen to people who say, oh, well, I've decided based on the two matches I've seen that this guy's trash and they're never going to be a main eventer. I can see what the appeal of that is. People like to have the hot takes and be right about everything, but it's trash analysis. You have to be able to adjust your opinions based on the facts you're giving. And Arsenal are 2-0 up.
There you go.
Saka's just put another one away. So everything's coming up, Joel, today. All right. Well, again, rather than going through match by match, let's just talk about some of the key people involved. Stonks. Okay, so I want to talk David Finley, as we just touched on him before. For me, he has been the MVP of this tournament by some distance as well. I'm really, really enjoying his work. I said last week he's just slid straight into this new heel role with consummate ease, and I love the way he wrestles. It's a bit different to all Bullet Club leaders of the past. He's not doing the stalling or the cheating or the shithousing. He's just beating people up, just like his dad, and I'm just really enjoying the way that he just brings the fight and just basically beats the piss out of people. It's really good. I like the way he does all the chirping during the matches, all the trash talk and stuff. Your mileage may vary on that. I know some people think he's doing it a bit too much, but I quite enjoy that. I think it just brings a bit of spice, adds a bit of character to the matches. And yeah, I've definitely enjoyed his output. The Great Khan match was a bit of a strange one, but an enjoyable stylistic match because these are Great Khan is the guy who the pacing of his matches is a bit unusual. He doesn't do the classic New Japan thing of the slow start and then escalating to the big crazy 100 miles an hour finish. He doesn't do it like that. He sort of goes in peaks and troughs. But I thought that was really good. I thought the Shota match was great, and the Tama Tonga match in particular from today. It was 18 minutes long. I thought that was terrific and really sort of sums up what we were discussing earlier, because this is two hungry, youngish, relatively young guys fighting tooth and nail to fill that power vacuum left by guys like Jay White, like Ibushi. Ospreay's injured. Naito and Tanahashi, they're on the back burner. Shingo's tied up with NJPW. So there are big spots up for grabs here on this roster, and they know it. There's a figurative brass ring to grab. And I thought Finlay and Tama, they brought the fight, and it really made me excited to see. You can see the landscape of the New Japan main event scene shifting before our eyes with guys like we talked about, Finlay and Tama Tonga and Davis and Fletcher and Shota and Ren, ELP, even guys like SANADA now, they've got a fire lit under them and they know they've got to either improve or they're going to get left behind.
Yep. I 1,000% agree. Not to make for a boring podcast, but yes, I 1,000% agree. It's just comical to me how we have these preconceived notions, and if you kind of try to go into it with I don't even want to say open mind. It's going to be fun and exciting. Trust me on that. And it was something where you could feel kind of like the momentum shift in their favor. And you're right. Tama Tonga, David Finlay, two guys who I think for years people have been saying, okay, let's give them a shot. Let's give them an opportunity. And they've always kind of been like this, middle guy, tag guy, what have you. Like I thought they shined. I really did. And I love the fact that the opportunity's there. Now, this is a complaint that I do get, though. That I don't necessarily agree with, but okay. They're not the guys, right, that are going to give you that epic New Japan main event, right? That several star, just knock your pants off, pants down, as we would say, kind of match. One, do you understand that those matches are a few and far between? And we were absolutely blessed with the fact that we had guys that could deliver that consistently, right? We were absolutely fucking blessed with having Tanahashi and Okada and Omega and AJ and Nakamura and Ibushi. You know what I mean? Like we were absolutely touched by the hands of God for having that kind of lineup. But understand that that's like, I mean, that doesn't come around every day. And number two, even with a never title defense, like, again, has Tama Tonga had that type of opportunity, and can he deliver? I don't know. But I do know that David Finlay, as an example, I mean, even in those, as you said, got the ball and has run with it, and he's never been, put in a position to deliver those type of main events. But God damn it, give him a shot. You know what I mean? Give him a fucking shot here. Because I think that a lot of those people that are, look, a guy like Hanari, Joel, he has to be in the ring with a guy who plays to his strengths. But I could go down the history of pro wrestling that were massive stars that have had to have that as well. That's not a big deal. And the flip side, we still have just fucking so much talent that is so much under. Like, you don't think ELP, if given the opportunity and the spotlight and the time to shine, that he couldn't fucking give you an incredible, outstanding pants off main event? I don't think there's a guy in the roster.
So who did you just say?
ELP.
He did it last year. Go and watch the Robbie Eagles match from Best of the Super Juniors.
Yes. Yeah.
That was everything you just mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm talking like main event Tokyo Dome. But okay. Yes. But you are exactly right, though. He delivered it. Yep. Sure. You know, and how many people, given his shtick, given his silliness and his, assholishness to Japanese kids, right, would have said, okay, that's a guy, not knowing any of his past history. Like, that's a guy who could deliver that. You know what I mean? Like, that's,
look at Kenny Omega in 2015.
Right.
Doing the junior heavyweight, doing the comedy with the spray and the chainsaw shaved arms nonsense. Some people saw it. Some people said, no, look, he's acting the fool now, but this is a legit superstar waiting to happen. But not many.
Yeah.
The parallels are there.
He was the most divisive person on that roster at that time. Like, I can't tell you how much people fucking hated him. Hated him because of that shtick. They fucking hated him. He was like, I fucking Colin would get barraged with shit because we were like, oh, he's really good. What the fuck? This guy's a clown. Blah, 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 blah. It's just, yeah. We've seen, and again, I hate to say it, but we've seen it throughout the company's history that they've been like this. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but God damn it, have some patience.
Let's have a quick word on Tama Tonga, who I think has had a low-key, really, really good tournament. I thought the Finley match was great. I thought the Goto match was really good. It was lovely to see him afterwards cutting a promo in Japanese. Dr. Gary says, will we ever see Tama Tonga make it to the top of the mountain? He seems extremely popular with Japanese fans. He's dedicated to the company. And personally, I think he's brilliant. I think Tama Tonga is a perfect guy to have in like that gatekeeper role.
Yep.
I don't necessarily think he has got the talent to be the top guy and hold the IWGP World Heavyweight title. And, as much as I want to say, this is a guy who's been there for a long time and is, dojo guy and the loyalty and all that, it would be a heartwarming story to have him win that title. I love him. I think he's made tremendous improvements, but he's not, I don't think he is at that level. I don't think he will ever be at that level. And I think there is great value to that, to have this guy who's got so much going for him, has been with the company so long and has made this amazing progress and is now beloved by pretty much everyone. But still, that's not good enough to win the top prize. He could be, and again, I don't mean this in a disparaging term, but like Hiroki Goto, who, tremendous wrestler, great asset to have on your roster, long-term, great value, but is not ever going to be the guy, and that's fine.
Yeah. How many people are the guy? You know what I mean? There's only so many spots to be the guy. If I go through that roster, I know might sound like it's the complete opposite of our rant for 15 minutes before, but not everyone can be the top guy. Not everyone, is that person. And that's okay. You know what I mean? Like, you need you don't need everybody to hit home runs. You don't need everybody to, you might need somebody to hit a home run. You might need somebody to steal a base. You might need somebody to fucking play defense. You might need somebody who knows how to fucking bunt. You know what I mean? Like I'll give you the arsenal. You need people to score goals. Absolutely. But you also need people to fucking play defense, and you need people who can, get the ball out of traffic, just whatever, or a good possession number, whatever the case may be. Like, you don't need the whole fucking roster being superstars, because I hate to say it, but like, then the superstars get watered down. If everybody's having 5-star matches, well, okay, then the 5-star matches aren't that special anymore. So yes, and here's the thing: I would have no problem with him being like a U.S. champion. No problem at all. And I don't have a problem with him even winning the big belt. I don't have a problem with it. I just don't see it in the cards.
Let's talk about SANADA.
Oh,
do you have any burger restaurant jokes you want to get out of the way before we start?
You sure? How many did you get? You probably got 1 million of them, right?
We made all those jokes as soon as just 4 guys was a thing. We're like, oh, what will happen if they get another person? Oh, the burger restaurant. Ha, 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 ha. And then every single fucker thought that they were the funniest person on earth. The only person who was funny was Andrew T. Rich.
He always
I don't know if you saw his. Yeah. Did you see his?
No.
Okay, I've got to read it because this is worth it. And I said, so after Andrew's one, we're closing the drawbridge on Five Guys jokes. So let me read it out. SANADA jumping ship to just Five Guys is a big move. Let us hope he can cut the mustard with a new group and meet the expectations of a push. At this point, he's definitely got to play catch up to be on the same level as some other top guys. It'd be a real pickle if he doesn't.
Oh, Joel.
That's no more jokes after that.
Oh, Joel, I relish these conversations. Oh, thank you. That was a match one. Andrew, so great. I love him. I miss him. Last time I saw him was Forbidden Door. Yeah, he's a great dude. What a great guy. What a great and fucking just sharp as a tack. Funny. Oh, man. I can't wait to see him again. Make out with him. Yep.
But yeah, anyway, SANADA. So he has ditched LIJ. He's turned his back on them, turned his back on Naito. And exactly as I speculated it would play out, with Taichi and Just Four Guys being there at the Naito match, happened at the end of the match. But the fantasy booking is alive and well. Just when I thought I was out, Damon, they pulled me back in. They throw me these scraps. I was just about to say, oh, fuck it, I'm not doing this anymore. No more fantasy booking. And then they did exactly what I've been saying that they should do for, feels like, years now.
Kikuchi Joel. That was Kikuchi Joel back again.
Kikuchi Joel, yes. So that was really exciting. Definitely added a lot of buzz to that show and a lot of buzz to SANADA's tournament going forward. And look, word of warning, this is still SANADA. This is not a different guy. I'm curious, if admittedly a little bit skeptical, whether he has the dynamism or the creativity to really reinvent himself the way that he needs to. I would love to be proved wrong. And look, to be fair to him, he does look like he's changed things up a bit. The new haircut, the shave, that's really good. He looks great. Does need a new theme, I think. I'd like some new music, maybe some new gear. I think it would be great to have like Taka Michinoku as his hype man, because SANADA, he can't cut a promo for Toffee, bless him. The little thumb gesture they did at the start was quite funny, considering apparently he just made it up on the spot. I'm sure that'll grow on me. He's got a new finisher that can come out of nowhere and looks good. I think it was Stringer on Twitter who said that it looked like that finishing move was specifically designed to counter Destino. And, Naito didn't see it coming, so I like that added wrinkle to it. And he seems to have changed up his moveset a lot. Like, he's dropped the Paradise Lock. The Mark Davis match today, no skull end. Didn't do that. Didn't do the moonsault. And, add to the facts that I've been saying for about a year now that I think SANADA's improved a lot. I think there's reason to be quietly optimistic there. And I really love the main event today with Mark Davis. 13 minutes went. Yes, please. I mean, more of that. Like, we were shitting on the Kenta snoozer last week, which went 29 minutes, 30 minutes. Fucking great. They're listening to us, Damon. And look, the biggest compliment I can pay this SANADA turn is that I am not dreading the inevitable cup win and Okada SANADA match at Sumo Hall. which was run into the ground in 2019. I was sick of it by the end, and again, there is a conversation to be had about the disconnect between the foreign fans and the Japanese fans because they loved it. That was the Tokyo Sport match of the year, the one at, was it King of Pro Wrestling? But this smells like a different Sanada, and it is absolutely a different Okada. This is not the Okada from 2019 who's going to say, oh, well done, kid, thumbs up, you did great. 2023 Okada's got no time for these punks. And, Okada, Sanada, Sakura Genesis, if that is the direction they go, they might, just beat the piss out of each other for 18 minutes and surprise a lot of people. So I'm enjoying the Sanada turn so far. Again, I'm not expecting this to be like a brand new guy who's going to blow everyone out of the water. Look, if it all goes tits up, MBTLOUFC says Taichi and Sanada for World Tag League. So, I agree with that. I'm excited for the tag run with Taichi at least because I've been saying for a very long time their chemistry is extremely good. So, Enigma Bird says Sanada's new look is my new sleep paralysis demon. This isn't a question. I'm just very upset by it. Larry says Sanada too hot now. Yes or no? So, Damon, give us your thoughts, please, on Sanada.
Well, I mean, it's new, it's fresh, but he is a guy that, is the opposite of a lot of what we talked about, right? He's a guy that has been given plenty of opportunity, and it just doesn't seem like he was capable of making it happen. And he would show glimmers of hope, and again, just kind of not quite there. A new coat of paint, a new faction, new finisher, everything that you just described is positive. Absolutely. It does make me a little bit more interested in him and seeing what he's up to and kind of getting past New Japan Cup. I don't know if I agree with you though. Do you think it's going to be Sanada? Because I'm saying David Finlay.
It's a bit of a coin flip, to be honest. I'm going to go with the chalk pick and the classic booking of the loser of the final being the Dontaku challenger, which would make sense given that Dontaku will be the Bullet Club 10-year anniversary, if I'm not mistaken. So I know it's predictable, but I would say Sanada to win the cup and challenge Okada at Sakura Genesis, and then Finlay to challenge at Dontaku.
Yeah, that does make some sense. And Dontaku, yes, being that Bullet Club party, they're going to come out in those kimono robes or whatever they're called. They always look good. Yes, I think you might be onto something there. You might be onto something. And then, quite honestly, you kill two birds with one stone at that point, right? I mean, you got Sanada in the mix once again, and yeah, it is popular. You can't deny it. And you know what? You're right. It might feel a little bit fresh just to see with how they work together now as opposed to a few years ago. Yeah. All right. Look, I'm more up on my Stonks. I'm buying Stonks on Sanada, where I never really thought I would. I'm not buying a lot. I'm not spending my whole savings. But I might dip and dab. in there in the Sanada Stonks. So I can't even say it. Say that. Sanada Stonks. Wow. How about that?
Adam says, where do you go with LIJ now? Having two heavyweights and three juniors is an interesting group formation. Do you think they get another heavyweight? Who would it be? Flynn says, what would your pick be for a third heavyweight in LIJ to replace Sanada? Maybe returning Yota Tsuji or something. Also, not a question, but Sanada joining Just Five Guys feels like an elevation for the group. I'd definitely be interested in seeing a Taichi and Sanada tag team. Shame they have a stupid name. I know a lot of people hate having all these factions, but the changes have freshened the undercard after seeing the same tag matches for years. Yes, I like the faction changes. I think that's a much needed change of the landscape. And I've talked about the wrestlers involved, but having new factions and getting rid of some old factions, I think that was much needed as well. I love the idea of Yota Tsuji being an LIJ guy. I think he would fit that, and I could absolutely see that happening. And, personally, I would have preferred if they had just gone with Taichi as the ace heavyweight of Just Four Guys, because I think, the fans love him. I think it would have been really cool if Taichi had gone to the final and maybe even won the cup. But I understand why he isn't, and I understand why the Japanese fans have that strong connection to SANADA that maybe the Western fans don't. So, yeah, I think it does add to the credibility and the prestige of the faction to have SANADA as the ace of the group now. And, yeah, we can look forward to the tag stuff with Taichi.
Would you have a huge issue, or would you have would you be side-eyed in me if I were to say to you, let's split up Los Ingobernables? Let's end it.
Ooh. A lot of people would be absolutely devastated. They would be heartbroken if LIJ was broken up. Personally, you're not wrong. They do feel a bit long in the tooth. I have to say, I don't hate the idea.
I mean, you figure two of the original
members,
members
they don't really support each other, do they?
No.
Like, this is the whole point. Like, you never see, very, very rarely. You do see it sometimes, to be fair, but yeah.
I mean, two of the original members are gone.
Shall I make the call?
Yeah, you know what? Kikuchi Joe, get on the horn. Get on the horn. Again, SANADA, gone. Evil, gone. Like, okay. Like, we're kind of filling in the gaps here, right? At this point. Well, why don't
we stale as a week-old loaf of bread?
Yeah,
Hiromu doesn't feel very exciting. You know, Bushi,
right.
Shingo fucking about with KOPW. Yeah, this is not the hot and exciting, sexy faction that it once was.
It really isn't. Now, again, people are going to say, well,
however, merchandise, the merch money keeps rolling in. It's going to stay as a thing.
There it is. Yep. I mean, that is true, but come on. You can't keep a fucking faction together because of T-shirt sales, can you? I mean, doesn't that seem... I mean, well, it doesn't, because the idea is to make money, but...
Bullet Club would like to say hello.
Right. Bullet Club has entered the chat room. Yeah, I get it. Trust me, I do, but it's just from a pro wrestling fan standpoint, I don't know. I mean, what value does those Ingobernables have at this point, aside from T-shirt sales and fucking baseball cap sales and towel sales? If that's the only thing, then okay. I mean, I get it. It's money. It's a money growing tree at this point, but I don't know. I think a new coat of paint for all of them, even Naito.
Yeah, look, Naito, fantastic wrestler, shit leader.
Yeah,
he's a terrible faction leader.
Yes, of course he is. Like him, I don't know how that would work from a booking perspective, but okay, we did it with Suzuki-gun pretty quick, pretty easy. Now, here's what I don't want to have happen though. We don't need another fucking 3 factions to splinter from this, right? That's the last thing I'm proposing. I'm just saying, I think it's run its course. David,
we have a moment of appreciation for the absolute grift of Just 4 Guys having a load of Just 4 Guys merchandise and people buying Just 4 Guys t-shirts and towels and things, and now it's just 5 guys. I don't know, but that's got Taka Michinoku written all over.
Oh my god, yeah. Well, we got to upgrade. we got to buy our 5 guy t-shirt now. Yeah, it is craziness. That's pro wrestling. What are you gonna do?
Let's have a word on Mark Davis. I need to apologize to Mark Davis because, as the meme goes, I was unfamiliar with his game. We heaped all the praise on Kyle Fletcher, but I think in this tournament, Davis has been outstanding. My eyebrows were raised at the Stan Hansen comparisons, but the more I watch him, the more they feel on the money. And this 30-minute main event, he beat the shit out of SANADA, got a very exciting sprint out of him. The crowd seemed to love him. The Ospreay match was really good. Even better in retrospect when you realize Ospreay was wrestling with an injured shoulder. They've got a better match in them. The Evil match was great. I'm going to talk a bit more about the Evil match afterwards, but let's focus on Mark Davis here. I think we've really been sleeping on him as a singles guy. And again, because we didn't have that data there, we did not see him in enough singles matches to judge. So, I'm not by any means saying let's break up Aussie Open or anything. And I still think Kyle Fletcher has more long-term upside. But I was pleasantly surprised about what Davis brought to the table here and how viable he could be in single spots in the near future, because stylistically I think he brings something new and something fresh to the table with his sort of hard-hit brawling style. I don't know, it feels something a bit different about that to the standard New Japan beefy style. And at the very least, I hope that New Japan are going to make both of these guys sign a fucking contract. So Daryl says, Davis looked great today. You talked recently about Fletcher's potential as a singles. What about Davis? I know he's older. I think he's 33, but shows some great intensity. So, yeah, your thoughts on Mark Davis, please?
He's been my number one, not even surprise. I think surprise is maybe surprise is the right word, but like a guy who maybe I undervalued. Oh, I definitely undervalued. And once again, got the tap on the shoulder. Will's hurt. You're going on in the tournament, and took the ball and ran with it. Made the most of his opportunity. And what happened is that guys like us and people that watch, their eyes were opened, and they realized what they had. You know. As a tag team, they're brilliant. But even as singles, you have something there where maybe you didn't think you had, or maybe you thought another person was carrying a load. I don't know. But he fell under my radar. That's for sure. And given the opportunity, once again, to tap on the shoulder, took advantage of it and went for it, and was fantastic. And you're right, hard hitting. It felt like a different style. It felt like a different energy, right? I like the fact that New Japan also had the balls to say, okay, I'm not going to say 100%, but it felt like that was the spot Ospreay was supposed to be in. And they just said, all right, we're going to give it to you. We're going to give it to you, Mark. Loved it. Love it. Look, New Japan has no shortage of talented guys. It's now we're going to give them opportunities, and let's collect the data, right? Let's get a big sample size here. Then we can make decisions on who's going to go higher, or who's going to be on that Mount Rushmore, or who's going to be challenging for big boy belts. Let's get the data. Let's see what we got, and we can move forward from there. And I think that, and again, I'm not saying break up Aussie Open by any stretch of the imagination, because I still think that they make the tag division fresh and exciting and fun. But know that you have two guys there that you would be absolute boneheads if you don't sign to a deal, because they're going to go somewhere. Like somebody's going to fucking take them. So you had better put a piece of paper in front of them and lock them in, because they're going to. People are already looking. Let's put it this way: people are already looking. People have already looked at them. Let's be smart, and let's lock down two, dare I say, future stars.
Louis says, with Ospreay's unfortunate shoulder injury, Davis replacing him on short notice, do you think a replacement could also work in, say, the G1, or would that participant have to forfeit the rest of the tournament? I loved the way that they pivoted with Davis, and could it work in a G1? I mean, I don't see why not. I can't see any reasons why they couldn't do that. And it's 3-0, hooray!
Yeah, you go.
Destroying Crystal Palace here.
Well, Crystal Palace.
Yeah, what do you think about the idea of having replacements?
Palace made out of crystals.
Oh yeah, the Palace are awful. Yeah, they stink. Yeah. They haven't won a match since like Christmas, so we should be beating them. But it was a bit rocky because we got eliminated from the Europa League in midweek, which a lot of people were really upset by. I was delighted by it because that means fewer games, and that means we can concentrate on the Premier League. So I was actually quite happy by that. But there's always the sort of psychological element of being eliminated from a tournament against an underdog that for lesser teams could be a bit of a blow, but it looks like it hasn't affected Arsenal in the slightest because we are destroying Crystal Palace. But what do you think about having injury replacements in the G1?
I like it. I like it better than everybody just getting a bye, getting the win in the match just because the person's injured. I'll tell you what. I mean, for fantasy booking, why wouldn't they have like a all right, so the people that aren't in G1 at the same time, maybe they can have something to be like, you're on the waiting list. You're at the top of the waiting list. You're second, if something.
That was David Finley's whole thing, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, that's right. That's right. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they can work something like that. But yeah, I don't like the idea of guy gets hurt, everyone gets a win because just replace the fucking guy. Obviously, you can do that, at least in New Japan Cup. So yeah, I like the idea of either the guy who, the last match or just some other replacement being in there. I think is a good idea.
I do want to touch on the Mark Davis versus Evil match, which I thought was fantastic entertainment and not one for the purists, but again, I think proof of concept for House of Torture, that with a couple of filthy wins under his belt, the looming threat of another SANADA versus Evil match, this Evil versus Davis match in front of a hot Korakuen crowd, which I think they intentionally saved these spots for. Like House of Torture at K Hall just hits different. Evil really got the crowd behind Davis. He made him look like a guy, and all the interference was just so much fun. You don't often get this kind of this late 90s Monday Night Raw vibe in New Japan, but when they do, I as the people say, I'm sports entertained. We had the one-armed Ospreay waving in the troops, Great Okan dragging Dick Togo backstage. It all built to a really great dramatic crescendo that was so good. Even the most ardent house deniers had no choice but to enjoy and acknowledge it was good. So yet another one to file under the Joel was right column, which, Damon, it's so vast now, I can't even keep track of it anymore. It's confusing always being correct about everything.
You don't have enough gigabytes to store all the Joel is right files. I agree again. I don't want to. I agree again and again and again with Joel today because you're right. And it's chaotic. It's frantic. It's yes, it's silly. Yes, it's not fucking Billy Robinson against fucking Lou Thayas. Yes, we get it. But it's a fucking fun ride. Once again, in spots like, and I think you are 1,000% correct too, in the sense that it feels different in Corkin. You know what I mean? Like the crowds and the close proximity, and just that building is tailor made for House of Torture. And once again, it's important spots, but it's not, top of the card, Tokyo Dome shit. You know what I mean? Like in its place, it's fucking great. In its place. Nobody's saying Evil needs to win the fucking big boy belt. Nobody's saying that. But in this spot where it's like, okay, loser goes home, and all the fucking yes, it makes for dramatic pro wrestling. It does. It really does. When delivered sparingly, and when delivered in the right context, and when delivered in front of the right crowd, and in the right situation. It works. It's Pro Wrestling 101. So yes, I think, and here's the thing. I think people should, and I'm not going to tell you what to do, but you should, tip your cap to that. Like, understand that, appreciate that, because one, appreciate the fact that, okay, they did pivot big time, and they're not this gigantic focus of New Japan, and that Dick Togo running the fucking promotion to the ground, whether they pivoted or whether that wasn't ever going to be the case, whatever. I feel like where we are right now with House of Torture is exactly where it should be and exactly where it can work. So I got no complaints of 2023 House of Torture. None.
The last person I wanted to talk about was Shota Umino, who I really think he's starting to put things together. There are small but visible improvements to his work. The primary one being his aggression, but also just other little sort of stylistic and presentation things like the camera now following his entrance, so you can actually hear the crowd reactions that people are excited to see this guy. I thought the Zack Sabre Jr. match was really, really impressive. I thought Zack led him through a match that really showcased his strengths. I thought the Finley match was also very good for similar reasons, even if the finisher reversal dance got a bit cute at the end. But I think what I'm figuring out about Shota here, which, it's not rocket science, he's at his best when he's an underdog getting beaten up. And I'm ready to move on from the Naito match. I'm not necessarily blaming Naito for it. I don't even think the match was bad. Just it had a weird dynamic where the fans, they still wanted to cheer and chant for Naito. So in the segments where you were supposed to be building up the babyface heat for Shota, people still wanted to cheer for Naito. So it didn't really work there. But the Zack match and the Finley match did work. So I'm saying stonks up for Shota, even though he got eliminated. And Damon, who would have thought that the 25-year-old wrestler who's just got back from excursion might actually still be improving from working big matches against top-tier talent? He's still learning stuff. Absolutely shocking.
It is. It's he should be just a perfect model of a pro wrestler at this point. No, of course not. But yeah, I don't think there's any surprise that he was in New Japan Cup, because you get to work at least 2 or 3 times against really quality singles opponents in marquee matchups. You learn in the ring. He's good. He's fine. I Joe, when I tell you I have absolutely no worries about him, and I have no worries that he will be a guy, none whatsoever. Where he is right now, think about this. Where he is right now, I couldn't be happier. You know what I mean? I couldn't be happier. He's on his way. He's on his way. And I think that a lot of people are rushing it. And again, hot takes. Everybody wants to have their fucking hot takes and, be the fucking guru. Well, okay. Step back a little bit. And I don't know, appreciate what we got so far. Because what is he? 20? How old is he? 20 something? 22, 23?
25.
Yeah, okay, 25. I mean, there's plenty more rope. Let's put it that way. There's plenty more time in his career. Barring any major injuries, don't be surprised if you see him in the next couple of years, Tokyo Dome main events. Don't be surprised.
I'm also enjoying the way that there's, I wouldn't call it tension, but obviously his father is refereeing most of the matches that he's involved in, but the way that he's kind of, pushing his dad out of the way and sort of pushing back against the nepotism claims there to say, no, I'm my own person. I don't need to be protected by my dad. So yeah, just these little touches that I think we're really starting to see the Shota Umino character grow. And yeah, we're a long way away from it being its finished version, but I think it's important to be attentive to the small improvements that get made along the way. Scott says, something's in the water. Ren is full on Shibata. Shota took Tana's pants and Naito's hair. Now Finley looking like a dull switchblade. Does New Japan have a Muppet Baby problem? Do you think that this is an issue with the new generation too closely resembling those who came before them?
Well, I said before, that was a complaint that I had heard on more than one occasion. And, I'm going to be truthful. I can kind of see that. and I can see people making that high level analogy. I don't think that what you see right now is what you're going to see 3 years down the road, 4 years down the road, 5 years down the road. I think that what you see right now is going to morph and grow and spawn into a character that they become and they truly are. Right? And I'm not saying that any of those are copies of or dollar store versions of, but I think that, again, if you took Naito, 3 years before Los Ingobernables, it was a totally fucking different guy. If you took Tanahashi, totally different guy. If you took Okada, look at all the changes and the growing and the evolution of Okada. It's Nakamura as well. I mean, it's just a natural progression where people get more comfortable. It's like starting a new job, right? First couple of weeks, maybe even months, you might be walking on eggshells a little bit. You're just trying to get the lay of the land. You might feel comfortable. You might know how to do a fucking hip toss or an arm drag and do it well. But there's more to that because it's, you have to get the company dynamic, whatever. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Let's let it grow. I don't think what we see today is necessarily going to be what we see 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the road.
All right, so we have two matches locked in for Tuesday's show, the New Japan Cup final in Niigata. The first is the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match with Lio Rush challenging Hiromu Takahashi for the title. I've said many times that I think Lio Rush is just a breath of fresh air. I think he's doing some of his best ever work now that he's with New Japan. The promos have been terrific. Just little things like there was a backstage segment where there was him and Yo, and then Yo said to him, "Oh, Leo, if you don't mind, I'd like to come out and corner you for the match against Hiromu." The way Lio Rush sold that, he was just like, yes, thank you so much. You're practically my brother now. And then after Yo's gone, he's like, yes, now this is the motivation I need to make that final push. Like everything that Lio Rush does, he sells it like it's, life or death for him, that it means the world to him. And I'm sure there is some truth to that as well. This is a guy who I'm sure believed that he had retired more than once in recent years, but has now rediscovered his love for pro wrestling and just fits New Japan like a glove. So I really, really hope he wins. I don't know what are the odds of him winning. I'd say it's maybe about a 50-50 shot, but I just think the landscape would be a lot more interesting with Lio Rush as champion and all the new, fresh matchups that could offer than Hiromu just, working his way through the same old guys again and again. So I am hoping for a Lio Rush win here.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And I think, I don't know, I think the odds might be a little bit more heavy in his favor. I think it's just a good time for a change, right? And again, look, do I still have some reservations about going all in? A little bit, but truth be told, it's the fucking junior heavyweight championship. And I know, look, it's my favorite title of all time. But, it's not like it's this pure, only a handful of guys can hold it. Fucking there's been some bums holding that title. And Lio Rush is not one of them. Let me be very clear. He's going to be a person that, again, provides an opportunity for spicier matchups, for sure. And here's the thing, too, though. It's not like we're shitting on Hiromu, but I just think that for the good, let's just freshen it up a little bit. Nothing wrong with that. So yes, I think he wins. I think there is a title change, and I'm thrilled with the idea of it. I'll go so far as to say, Joel, at this point, I might be a little disappointed if he doesn't, because just like you said, like, okay, so now what? We have this whole opportunity on this side of the wall. We're going here again. I just think they have a great opportunity here to freshen things up. And I think that they would be. You're not going to hurt Hiromu. You know what I mean? Like, you're not hurting the guy by having him fucking drop this title. Let's do it. Let's do it for the good of the division.
And our New Japan Cup final will be SANADA versus David Finlay. I don't really think there's a wrong pick here. I think I can see the value in either of these guys winning, but I'm going to stick with my original prediction and say that SANADA wins. I'm actually more interested in what this looks like in terms of the dynamics, because SANADA is not really pure babyface anymore. I mean, he's literally a babyface now that he's had the shave. You know, it was like, I don't know if you've seen the film The Room, but when one of the characters, Mark, shaves, then he just walks into the room with his nice smooth cheeks, and then all the characters go, wow! It's like this big dramatic moment in the story. So yeah, I was getting The Room vibes from SANADA shaving, but he's not, strictly speaking, a babyface really. Now that he's aligned with Just Five Guys, that feels like more of a tweener faction, and so I'm interested to see how the match plays out. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be David Finlay dominating and SANADA being the sort of de facto babyface, being the hometown guy, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that's his hometown. So I'm sure those will be the dynamics it goes with. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the match. I think that SANADA wins the New Japan Cup.
I can't believe that here in the year of our Lord 2023, we're talking about buzz and excitement for, at least on our end, for a David Finlay SANADA main event. Right? That's something, right? That's good. I see your thoughts in the fact that, Dontaku, David Finlay. It feels like that the energy is in the company. The company's energy is in the camp of David Finlay. I mean, you could go both ways where the loser challenges at Dontaku. And I don't think it would hurt either way, but if past history has been any indicator, you're right. David Finlay and Dontaku makes more sense. I'm going to stick with my David Finlay prediction, but know full well that logic might, prove me wrong. But I'll stick with David Finlay.
Last word on New Japan Cup, a moment of appreciation for some of the guest commentators. I thought Mark Davis was very entertaining and insightful, and ELP today was absolute hoot. What was some of the stuff he said? So he was talking about the only reason that he and Aussie Open got a push was because NXT UK had hoovered up all the other talent on the UK scene. He was saying that Tomoaki Honma looked like he'd just come from a Nuru massage.
Oh.
And the best one, Kevin Kelly says, the NJPW fan base was a bunch of 43-year-old men with their arms folded, and then ELP cuts them off and says, they're all at Stardom.
Yeah, he's good. He's fucking good. God damn it. Good stuff. ELP. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the tide to turn. I'm waiting for something to happen with that guy because he's just so fucking good. One day we'll see. One day we'll see.
Where do you think he ends up? What would be, if you had the book, what would be a good landing spot for him? Because it feels like his place in Bullet Club is untenable at this point. I know, like, they too sweetened each other at the end and they appear to have made up, but he's got to be out of the group soon, surely.
I would think. like, I just think Bullet Club is in this weird fucking spot where, you know, our fantasy bookings seem to make a lot more sense than what the end result has been. I think that's been truth be told, I think that whole entire thing has been a huge disappointment in the fact that they had all this. Yes, they had Hikuleo go over, and yes, they had, you know, David Finlay give the final push out the door for Jay White, but it does seem like they're in like this weird fluxy, they're spread all over the fucking place. I mean, you could start with him and Finley in finally some type of Bullet Club closure. But he's a talented heavyweight that you can do so much with, that I feel like just having him in Bullet Club is somewhat of a, I don't want to say a waste, but it's just kind of like, okay, there's better things that you could do. But I think the easy thing to do is get some resolution from this Bullet Club situation. I think it's a fair and easy ask for both Finley and for ELP. From there, I don't know, but I just know that you have a ton of talent that, I don't know, is he being held back? Just being sitting around in Bullet Club. I don't know.
Two listener questions to finish off here. First of all, Mark says, does Damon have any Philly recommendations on visiting Easter weekend to catch the Bruins play the Flyers and visiting a friend?
Wow. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, plenty of recommendations, but I mean, restaurant wise or Franklin, here's what you want to do. For drinks, you want to go to a place called Franklin Mortgage. Franklin Mortgage. It's like a speakeasy kind of thing. Fantastic fucking drinks. Seriously, like the best in the world in my eyes. It is a stomping ground place. Park in Rittenhouse Square, which is right near Franklin Mortgage. Great restaurant, French Steven Starr restaurant. Fantastic. Get the lobster frites. Oh, it's fucking, you'll be in heaven. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of fucking cool play. Hop Sing Laundromat is pretty good. It's another like speakeasy kind of thing. You know, you got to be a little dressed up though for that one. No sneakers for that. They won't let you in. Chinatown, Philly is notorious for fucking great food. Yeah, you're not going to lose. And then if you kind of like the bar scene, you want to go to the Northern Liberties area. Fishtown, Northern Liberties area, they have a lot of cool bars and clubs and, you know, that kind of shit. So, yep, there you go. That'll get you started. I think Joel's asleep.
And last one for today, Dr. Poodle Papa says, I know you have no control over the ad roll in the podcast episodes. The ads in the podcast are geo-stitched to regions, and I ended up getting an ad for a cushy government job that's very applicable to my skill set that I applied for and got. And now I'm making about twice what I was before. No question here. Just coming to say thank you and to report officially someone has made money from this podcast about pulled sandwiches and crisps that occasionally covers wrestling. Well, Dr. Poodle Papa, I would say, don't say thank you to us. Put your fucking money where your mouth is, your hand in your pocket.
Yeah.
You know, we've doubled your salary. Get on redcircle.com/shows/super-j cast and give us some fucking money.
Yeah, come on, Mr. Moneybags. That's pretty good. That's pretty cool, though. That's crazy. The good stuff there. Good. Yeah. When I listen, I get because I love listening to myself and Joel because we're the funniest fucking guys on earth. I do get local ads, and I got one for I was like, oh, okay. They're like, is it time for a colonoscopy? I was like, oh, I guess. Maybe. Yeah. So yeah, and they are local. Yeah, so they do find a way to geotag your location to kind of feed you.
Was there a Voices of Wrestling discount promo code on the colonoscopy?
Yes, Super J for 4 fingers in your ass. No, there wasn't. But correct me if I'm wrong. We did. I know because it was earlier. We recorded a little bit for Voices of Wrestling to chuck in. We recorded one and it was awful. And I thought I uploaded it, but thank God I didn't because it was really crap. This one is much better. So be on the lookout for that when you're listening to other podcasts on the Voices of Wrestling Network. You might hear us pop up with a little pluggaroo once or twice.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Discord link, you can get access to that if you send me a direct message on Twitter. Again, redcircle.com/shows/super-j-cast. We always appreciate money, so give us money. Don't just give us thanks. Give us money, yes. Cold, hard cash. That's what keeps the lights on. At Cobra Kawaii and ProWrestlingTees.com/SuperJcast for our t-shirts. Big thanks to editor Dan. Fighting him on Twitter at LazHero219. Subscribe to the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network for other great shows. Give us a 5-snake review on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter at the SuperJcast. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and goodbye.
Music. It's not just part of our daily lives, it's part of our wrestling fandom as well, and it has been for decades. That's where this show comes in. Music of the Mat, the podcast devoted exclusively to the music of pro wrestling, hosted by Andrew Rich. Hey, that's me. Each episode delivers a different topic with a variety of great guests, fun conversations, musical analysis, and of course, a heartfelt pun or two. New episodes drop every other Tuesday on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or your podcast app of choice. Check out Music of the Mat only on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
Cheering at pro wrestling shows in Japan is back, and 2023 is already shaping up to be a big year in the history of pro res. That's why you should listen to the Emerald Flow Show. From the Royal Road to the Green Mat, Paul and Gerard take you into the world of All Japan Pro Wrestling and Pro Wrestling Noah. Not only do we analyze events, but we examine business, who is getting over, what angles are working or not. Occasionally, we take a look at other Japanese promotions like DDT and 01. So if you're looking for more coverage of the world of Japanese wrestling, check out the Emerald Flow Show on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network, available on all of your favorite podcast apps.